Hello everyone. I'm gonna be talking about an article that was written by Raj Gopal Raghunathan and Kim Korfman, and the title of the article is Happiness Shared Double and Sadness Shared Half? Social influences on enjoyment of hedonic experiences. So, first of all, I want to tell you guys what hedonic experiences are. Hedonic experiences are any experience that you associate with having a good time, with any good moment you had, like going shopping, watching a movie, going on vacation, having a good time with your friends. All of these are hedonic experiences. So, like most shared, what they say in the article is that most shared activities which we share with other people, when we look at it retrospectively, we feel that the person with whom we've shared the experience, if both of us share a similar opinion about the experience, then we feel as though the experience, we feel as though it was a good experience. But if my friend has some other thoughts about the same activity that we did, then both of us, we might not have the same feeling about the experience. He might think of it of having a good time, but I might think of the experience of not having a good time. Uh, and well, what they mainly say is, uh, in this article, the authors, they try to talk about an alternate approach to the where they mention the need to belong and the need for accuracy. They suggest that the enjoyment from sharing stimuli depends on the consumer's perceived interpersonal agreements about the shared stimuli. Agreement on the opinion enhances, and disagreement on the opinion diminishes the experience. Uh, Regarding this, what the author said, I'd like to give a good example which was included in the article. So he talks about two friends going to watch a ballet, and the ballet is a good ballet. It's a reputable show. So just when you think that you're enjoying the ballet, and when you turn to your friend to ask him how he likes it, he tells you before you could ask the question that it's not such a good show. Now, because of what he said, you might start to feel that the ballet is not what you expected initially. When you thought it was a good show, but your friend says it's not a good show, you might feel as though the ballet is not actually a good show. And at the same time, you might also have a feeling that the shared experience between you and your friend is not going well. Like, he might have another experience of the same event, whereas I might have another experience of the same event. And similarly, like in the same situation, when you think that, uh, in the same situation, if you don't like the ballet, and just as you're about to turn to your friend to tell him about the ballet, he says the same thing. He tells you that I don't like the ballet. I don't know what's wrong with it. Or at that moment, you might feel as though the ballet, when the both of you uh, have thought about the same thing, and when the two of you uh, said when both of you did not like the show, you might feel as though the experience that you share is going well, and at the same time. Uh, at the same time, you might feel that the experience has enhanced with your friend because both of you have similar opinions about the show. In the first case, when you and your friend did not have similar opinions about the show, and you liked the show, and your friend did not like the show, you might, when you think back about the show, you might feel like you couldn't enjoy the show as much as you would have used to. Uh, and in this article, like the authors say that there's a small and subtle difference with other past articles, which they mention, like Previous researchers used to primarily focus on the judgments of shared stimuli, such as the length of the stimuli and the quality of the stimuli, which is like the length might be if you're going to the mall, if you've gone to the mall, it might be how long you've spent in the mall. Like, have you made it worth your while? Have you spent your time properly? If you spend 3 hours, was the 3 hours good? If you spend 6 hours, was the 6 hours more enjoyable than the 3 hours? And the quality is, how did you utilize your time? Did you do anything for yourself? Did you do anything that you think back on you would do that thing again? But in this article, they say that the research is primarily focused on the enjoyment from sharing this experiences. It's not about the experience that you had, but it's about it's about the experience you get when you share the story with your friend or anyone who was there with you in the same thing. And they further talk about how two factors, that is need to belong and need to accuracy, affect the enjoyment of those shared activities. They develop an argument where they say that the enjoyment from shared experiences is influenced through the satisfaction and frustration of both these needs. So you can take a look at this diagram. So the exposure to social info is there, and the need to belong and the need for accuracy are before the sense of belongingness and the confidence in accuracy. And like before you have satisfaction and before you share your stimuli and before you have it, after sharing your stimuli, before you know whether it is it is a good experience or bad experience. The graph helps you. And the need to belong, mostly ever since time humans have a need to belong. They always look to create and maintain relations with others, and some say that this can be satisfied through serious and complicated relationships, whereas others feel as though this need to belong can be it can be captured through small and intimate conversations, like when you meet someone on the plane or at the dentist's office. You sometimes build a connection with them, and it's not necessary that you need a long-term connection. And so, like the congruence of opinion about a shared experience causes a feeling of belongingness with someone, and similarly, in congruence of the shared experience with someone causes a sense that you do not belong there, a sense of alienation. And the other factor is the need for accuracy. It is that like people, they always try to show themselves as being truthful, being honest, being upfront, being who they are. Like they try to accurately portray the experience that they've shared with everyone and with their friends. And evidence that others feel similarly about a shared stimuli will increase confidence in the accuracy of a person's own judgment, and vice versa, which means that when you share a story about a shared experience with your friend, and when your friend also seconds what you said, you feel as though you feel that your own judgment is nice, and that your need for accuracy is accomplished, and similarly, this leads, like when you talk about the need for accuracy. The exposure to these favorable and unfavorable information will increase or reduce the person who's telling the story is verticality, is uncertainty of verticality of their views. That means when you're sharing a story with someone and when the other person has a different remembrance of that story, you feel as though you miscalibrated the situation. You feel like you were adding something that was not there, or you feel as though you're not accurate enough. And when you and your friend both share the same things, then you feel as though your views are accurate and the sense of belonging, the sense of accuracy is accomplished. And regarding this study, the authors, they give out 3 hypotheses, and the first one is that the exposure to congregant social information about hedonic stimuli enhances enjoyment from the experiences of sharing the stimuli, whereas exposure to incongruent social information diminishes enjoyment from it. What this means is that when you talk about shared hedonic experiences with your friend, when both of you have the same uh, uh, when you and your friend remember the same things, when both of you talk about the same experiences, uh, then you feel as though you've enjoyed the experience more. Like sharing the experience and knowing that you and your friend shared the good time together accurately and with each other, having a sense of belongingness with one another. It enhances that. And the other one is in this context, in which in the context in which belongingness motive is salient. People exposed to congregant information, opinions about shared stimuli will report greater, and people exposed to incongruent information will experience lower enjoyment, respectively, of the shared experience. And the third one is that in context in which the accuracy motive is salient, people exposed to congregant and incongruent opinions about shared stimuli will report greater and lower enjoyment, respectively, from the shared experience than will those not exposed to others' opinions. And for this study, they've done a few experiments. I'm going to talk about one of them. Now, the objective of the experiment was to expose the congregant information about shared hedonic stimuli to expose how congregant information about shared hedonic experiences enhances your social enjoyment of the social experiment. In moderating the impact of social enjoyment in shared experience. So what they're basically trying to do is that they're trying to they're trying to show you how having a congregant social information about a shared social activity is going to enhance your experience of the activity, and having an incongruent shared hedonic stimuli, how it diminishes the enjoyment that you feel you had. And this experiment will also document the role played by the need to belong, and how it affects the shared stimuli experience. So the experience was done by showing undergrad students TV advertisements. They were shown 3 TV. So undergrad students about TV advertisements all the TV advertisements were before 1994 or were either in a foreign language, so as to not so that they know that the participants have not watched the advertisement, and it would be done in two stages. Like they'd be either shown favorable videos or unfavorable, pleasant or unpleasant videos. Sorry, and the experiment was done in the University of Texas in Austin with 135 students, where each were assigned three conditions: congruent, incongruent, and controlled, and two advalent conditions: pleasant or unpleasant. So it was either going to be a congruent condition with a pleasant uh, advalent condition, or a congruent condition with a unpleasant advalent condition. So you understand, and each student would do the information with another student, with another predetermined student who would be working with the people who were doing the experiments, and they would be provided with a questionnaire titled advertisement study. They would be shown three advertisements and asked to rate it on the basis of how they liked it. And the other person, the plus one who was there, to play out the need to belong experiment. He would come into the room and ask to be a part of the experiment, so that the other students are unsuspecting. But the plus one, he knows what he's going to do. He knows either he's going to be a congruent stimuli and incongruent stimuli, or he's not going to, or he's going to be neutral. So that's how the experiment went. So each student came in, they were shown a video, and they were shown three advertisements, either pleasant or unpleasant, and the plus one would give either a congruent, incongruent, or no reaction at all. And the plus one would also either be a high affiliation student or a low affiliation student. The high affiliation student would be a student wearing a University of Texas t-shirt, carrying a water bottle with the campus logo on it, and a low affiliation student would be one without the t-shirt or the water bottles. This is to show how the sense of belongingness affects it. And the results were only collected from 131 students out of the 135, because four of them, they got suspicious of the plus one, and the enjoyment and participating in the experiences were correlated. Like students, they were asked to rate the enjoyment and like how much they enjoyed the experiment, and whether they would take a similar experiment again, and both were as they predicted. And additionally, confirming the pre-test that results, participants reported greater enjoyment of pleasant than unpleasant advertisements. This is also a very obvious one. And then, in regard to the need to belong experiment, objective was to show exposure to congruent social information would enhance your your shared stimuli, and exposure to incongruent social information would diminish your shared stimuli. And enjoyment in highly congruent participants, followed by control. As per the experiment, the students were most students enjoyed most in the congruent situation, after that in the control situation, and then in the incongruent situation. And then further analysis revealed that there was not a significant difference in enjoyment in the incongruent situation, but there was a large difference in the congregant situation, and this shows the beneficial and damaging effects of exposure to others, congregant and incongruent opinions that amplified among participants in the high affiliation condition. This means like how just another person being in the same room with you affected your answer. Like how someone with a T-shirt of the same school, with the water bottle of the same school, affected your thinking of the whole scenario, and this supports the author's experiment for the need to belong. The need to belong experiment, and additional evidence was also obtained that separated the need for psychological closeness. Participants exposed to congregant information reported feeling closer to the plus one than those who had incongruent um, exposed to incongruent, and participants in control fell in between. Like the uh, the participants who were um, exposed to congregant information with plus one, like who would take their support, who would say similar things to them about the advertisement. They enjoyed the experience more, and the people who were with the plus one was neutral. They enjoyed the experience the second most, and then people who were exposed to the incongruent experience information where they enjoyed the experiment the least, and consistent with the idea that exposure to congruent information helps participants perceive a, a bond with the plus one and vice versa. Plus one as in the the other student who was there in the room with them, uh, and uh, and the when the other person was in the room with them, the participants, they also said that they felt closer to them. They felt psychologically closer to them, uh, and uh, just like in the article, they predicted the congruence between people's opinions and those of another would determine how shared experience is enjoyed, and I think it's shown, like they've shown this, consistent with that people who were exposed to more congregant information, they expected the information, they enjoyed the experiment more, and they also predicted that the effects were due to the fulfillment and frustrations of the need to belong. This was with the plus one, the case with the plus one, when they saw when they saw someone else with them with the same school T-shirt, they uh, felt a special bond. They felt the need to belong, and so they felt uh, like when they would argue with them, they felt more fulfillment in their experience, and similarly, they felt more frustrated when they were not like when he provided them with when the plus one provided with incongruent information, and obtained further evidence in support of the need to belong through the finding that participants in the congruent and incongruent conditions reported feeling more and less close respectively to the plus one than in the control conditions. So the people who were in the control conditions, they did not have much interaction with the plus one. They didn't share any like experience or anything with them. They felt that they were less psychologically uh, like close to them, but the people who either had a bad, who either had congregant information shared with them or incongruent information shared with them, they felt that they had a more psychological need, connection with him. So that's about it. That's